What's going on, guys? So as you can see and tell by the title of the video, we are going to be installing a SSD into the dirty Ghetto Gaming PC. So what I've picked up here is an SSD of dubious origins. I got it secondhand. It was about $55, and that's probably way too much, but it's all I could find, it's all I could afford. This is a RAM Ultra 2 Series 80GB SSD. It's only SATA 2, but it's still going to be twice as fast as the Seagate Barracuda that I have in the computer at the moment. This is just a standard 2.5-inch SSD. Nothing too fancy, and the way I'm going to be setting this one up is currently my Windows install has all my user data like desktop and everything, and download folder and everything like that. All that kind of stuff is actually saved to a 2TB Western Digital Green inside the computer. So even when I replace this hard drive, even when I replace the hard drive in here with this one, I shouldn't lose much stuff. Like I shouldn't notice the difference in size. There are some things that I'll have to fix up and move around. I'll have to reinstall a bunch of different applications and things, but I'm going to be installing a fresh copy of Windows 10 onto this drive and leave the one I've got at the moment, so I can sort of jump between the two just till I get this new install set up and going. So what we're going to do here is we're going to temporarily we're going to throw the SSD in here as a second disk and then do a fresh install onto this SSD and see how it goes. I've never used an SSD before, so this is going to be quite interesting. Okay, so I've just disconnected the 2TB Western Digital Green and stolen its SATA cable. This is probably a bit dark for you all to see. So yeah, I've stolen its SATA cable and just plugged in power. Just gonna sit here for now, and hopefully I'm gonna reinstall this, and it shouldn't have any issues. Hopefully. Now, if you've never seen this build before, highly recommend you go and watch the other videos I've made on this machine. It's basically the most powerful gaming PC that I could afford to build out of scrap and, you know, stuff like that. It's got a Intel Core i7-8660 running at, I don't know, 3 GHz or something, whatever the stock speed is. It's got a liquid cooler, power supply. It's got a GTX 670 2GB with a aftermarket cooler on there. You know, it's fairly good. It's got 8GB of RAM, all that sort of stuff. So check out that video if you're interested, and let's see if this will actually work. Fingers crossed. And if you're interested, this is what my BIOS splash screen is. It's a custom one. That's not the model number of the board. I just thought it'd be funny that it looks like a Pentium 4 because it's inside a Pentium 4 case. Now, why isn't this doing anything? Let's just jump into the BIOS here. I think it's F2. NVIDIA GTX 670. Maybe it is F2 to choose boot menu. This has like an American, whatever it's called, or award BIOS, and it doesn't like it if you press a key too many times. With the one that was on my Gigabyte board, it was fine. Like, you could mash the keyboard and it would just do whatever it wants to do. Okie dokie, so it's a couple days later now, and I just recorded this entire clip and I didn't realize that the camera stopped recording. So yeah, I'll just skim back through it again. So basically the hard drive the SSD ended up being faulty, and the store I bought it from, I couldn't get a cash refund, so they just did store credit. So I had to pay, I think it was an extra $38 on top of that to get a better SSD, and this is what I got. I got the Kingston Fury X whatever, and it's 120 gig SATA 3, so it's got a 500, apparently it's got a 500 megabyte read and about 400 megabyte write speed or something, but my board ended up only being SATA 2 anyway, so I'll have to get a PCI controller for it. I've got a spare 16 by 16 slot, so I can probably use that, seeing as I'm not going to go dual GPUs, because this new board does not support it doesn't support SLI, it only supports Crossfire, and some boards you can mod them to enable SLI, but yeah, there's no point. So yes, so what was happening with the other SSD was it wouldn't even recognize in the BIOS, so yeah, it ended up just being a dead SSD. Anyway, so another problem I ran into was Windows 10. So the way I set up this machine was I had installed Windows 10 Technical Preview on my old board and old GPU and old hard drive, and I'd upgraded to the full version, because if you had the Technical Preview, you got the final version, like a legit copy for free, because you're in the test program. So the way the activation works on upgrade installs like that, unless you bought the actual key from a store and install off your own disk or whatever, the way it works is the key is meant to be saved to the system, to the board, to the UEFI BIOS. But my systems all have just legacy based BIOSes, and because I installed Windows 10, the final version, on my old board, if it did save a key, it would have been saved there. So when I installed Windows 10 Professional onto here, what happened was it actually installed Windows 10 Home and wouldn't activate it. It just kept on failing the activation. So after a while I was messing around with it, and to save buy me a new key, I just said I'll just try the generic key, because with upgrade installs they all have the same key. I'll even put it in the description if you want it. And yeah, I popped that in and went to the Windows update screen, the one where it just says updating Windows, don't turn off your computer. Came back 20 minutes later and the system had upgraded to Windows 10 Professional and activated. So maybe that's some sort of loophole in the activation process for older systems. It probably wouldn't work on a UEFI BIOS, but yeah, because according to the installer this was a completely different system, because it didn't even have the same OS installed in the system. I actually unplugged both hard drives when I ended up doing that install. Yeah, pretty interesting. I might try that out on another computer and see what it does, because that's pretty cool. I think I don't think Microsoft even cares about people actually, I don't think they even care about making a profit on Windows anymore. Apparently it's going to be the last version of Windows anyway, and from there on it's going to be free, just like OS 10, so anyway, so I'm going to throw this back in the system and we'll see how fast it boots. Okie dokie, so let's see how fast it boots. This system it's slow in BIOS because it's got an IDE. It's got a separate IDE controller for the optical drive, because I just never upgraded to SATA. And it gets hung on that for a few seconds, so the real boot time is from when it hits the BIOS screen twice. So if you're interested in how fast it is and timing it, then it'll be from there. So let's press the button. And my liquid cooler is not the quietest in the world, but it'll die down in a minute. I don't know if you can even hear that. So that's the GPU BIOS. First BIOS splash screen. That's initializing all the SATA drives. Then it's going here, which is the Apparently it's PCI based IDE controller. It's pretty cool. It says it up the top, that's the ROM for it. Yep, second one. Overclocking failed. That's weird, because the system's not overclocked. Okay, let's try that again. The system really isn't overclocked, I just manually set the RAM speed, because I was having a few issues with it. So, waiting. Please don't crash again. Using a BIOS and a mechanical keyboard is so nice. Logitech sent me out a keyboard to review, and that should be up in a few days. Scanning, there you go, IDE drive. Okay, from here. So I think it goes a couple circles. Yeah, see? Then I'll switch over to my center display. I should really rearrange the cables for these displays. Just because it's kind of annoying that the side display is, what's the word? The primary one in the BIOS, but not here. So yeah, that's the system. It's booted up. Took all of a few seconds. And according to the SSD software by Kingston, this SSD, it is a used one. But let me think. It only has 16 days of use on it according to the smart controller inside it, because I'm pretty sure these use a smart controller. I think it's all the same thing, but anyway, it's only got 16 days of use, which isn't a whole lot. Well, I wouldn't consider that a whole lot, because some of my other drives have like years of use on them and they're perfectly fine, but they're mechanical drives anyway. So yes. And I won't run a speed test, I'll just put in the description, but it gets about 280, 300-ish megabytes per second read on a 4K sector or whatever, the fastest one anyway. But as long as it's better than 160, which is what I was getting. And as I said, here's the, if you can actually see that. Sorry for the lines. Is the SSD, it's only 120 gigs, so all the user data. So if I go to documents and then I click up, now I'll go into a folder, and then you can see that it's actually under D, and that doesn't really seem to affect performance at all. When I was running this, just the plain SSD after the install, like, it didn't really show any improvement or lack of improvement, or what's the opposite of improvement? I don't know. Degraded performance. So yes, that was a pretty quick video. If you liked the video, thumbs it up. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe, because I do lots of different videos, tutorials, reviews, stuff like that. And until next time, I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Oh, and this is the keyboard that Logitech sent me. But sadly, I have to give it back. It's pretty nice. It's MX Brown switches, and it's adjustable backlight. Nice. Alright, see ya.